Not London is red. It's good to be back on the show, on the fans' reaction. My name is Ahis Anthony, and I have with me here Okwe. We're here to react to the game we just saw, Arsenal versus Tottenham, the North London derby, and Arsenal winning that 4-1 with an Eberechi Eze's hat-trick. Doing that after the first, I think the record was in 1978 by something Sunderland, right? And
Yeah.
being the first Arsenal player on his first debut to score a hat-trick. And the subplot to this was Thomas Frank during the press conference asking the question, who is Eze? Eze who? And like I said, on the WhatsApp group, I said the football gods are real. And what a humbler. What a humble pie served back to Thomas Frank. I wonder how he will be feeling on the touchline, seeing that Eze's masterclass. Okay, let me allow you, take the show from here and let me get your reaction about the game you just saw.
Yeah, honestly, it was a perfect game. I think that was a perfect North London debut for Eberechi Eze. I couldn't think of a better way for him to probably edge his name into the Arsenal folklore history. For sure, if his Arsenal career just ends today, I think the greatest achievement will have to be a hat-trick against Spurs. That's what Arsenal fans are going to tell you. And they'll tell you that for that reason, they'll love him forever. But what about the manner of the hat-trick as well? I think there was quality. Quality was shown in all those goals. The close control, the quick thinking, usage of tight spaces, and finishing. I think finishing in a superb manner, in a manner that leaves the opposition goalkeeper looking quite clueless. I think we need to give him the plaudits for that. And for me, I think the signing of Eberechi Eze was very, very important for Arsenal because, in my humble opinion, I do think that Arsenal had been lacking that X factor, probably since Alexis Sanchez left. Nicolas Pepe for me was going to be the next in line, but I don't know. I think Pepe just lost his spark, most likely after his first season at Arsenal. But for me, honestly, Eberechi Eze is that player. And the good thing now is that Mikel Arteta is going to be having crazy headache. He's going to be having migraines because he's got other players on the bench, on the sidelines who are going to be watching and players who want to come back to play. I'm talking about Gabriel Alesh. I'm talking about Martin Odegaard. Even Gabriel Martinelli was an unused substitute today. So that just goes to show you the level of quality in depth from this Arsenal team. And I think once again, kudos to Andrea Beta for getting the business done over the summer. I think every addition that was made into the team was absolutely essential and important. And I think every player that was signed during the summer has shown their quality and they've shown why Arsenal signed them. And they've contributed, thus talking about the season. So good win for the Arsenal. Most importantly, 3 points picked up in a match day weekend where Manchester City dropped points. They lost to Newcastle 2-1. Liverpool dropped points as well. They lost woefully at home to Nottingham Forest. These are the two likely title contenders. Yeah, Chelsea got a win over the weekend. The Chelsea fans are not coming out now to say that they are title contenders. Let me oblige them for now and not address them as title contenders. But yeah,
well, I don't know why they don't have the lever. I don't know why they're scared. I really don't know why. Seriously.
Well, I think it's because of Enzo Maresca. If we're being honest, the way last season started, if I'm not mistaken, I think last season started in a very good way for Chelsea. And the truth is that a lot of people were tipping them to be possible title contenders. But when it got to the point of the season whereby I think the mathematics of Enzo Maresca and the reality of his squad told him that, look, getting a title is not possible. Enzo Maresca then came out to say, look, a top 4 finish is going to be good for them. So I think they're just following the suit of their manager and whatever the manager says. And I think the manager has been saying this season as well that, that they're just going to compete. He didn't say they have a target. He didn't say they have a goal. I think Chelsea fans are just taking the cue from Enzo Maresca.
Possibly they're just trying to temper down expectation. Coming from the 2-2 draw against Sunderland, and during the international break, we see Gabriel Magalhaes, coming down from the injury against Senegal in the Abbey Emirates Stadium. Like I said, a clueless. How am I going to put it? I think the right word I want to use for the injury was avoidable because Brazil were up 2-0 as at the 60-something minutes. I think Don Carlo could have help Arsenal, because we know Gabriel is instrumental to what we've done from the beginning of the season up until that last game against Sunderland in all competition. And I think Don Carlo Ancelotti should have managed the minutes of Gabriel. But it is what it is. Seeing that Gabriel got injured, Calafiori was a doubt. He couldn't go to represent Italy. He was called back. Anticipation towards this game after the international break, seeing that Arsenal dropped 2 points at the Stadium of Light. No, sorry, at Sunderland. There was a lot of talking points. Can Arsenal do it? A lot of talking points around saying how we saw Guardiola in the press conference saying this is the last international break for the year. So that means the Premiership just starts now, and them having to go to Newcastle to go play, Liverpool being at home against Nottingham Forest, Chelsea going to Burnley. Those are the teams around Arsenal that will be close, that could give Arsenal that competition. A lot of talking points where those teams will have played before the North London derby. That is going to be pressure on Arteta. No Gabriel. They don't know if the guys that are injured will be coming back. No Gyökeres, no Havertz. How will Arteta handle this? Seeing from the backdrop of the form of Tottenham, never lost on the road. They've considered just 3 on the road. They will come into the Emirates, this North London derby, and give Arsenal a run for their money. Those subplots before this game were things that could leave anybody's head turning and getting any Arsenal fan worried to say, are we going to take those 3 points or are we going to drop points? Yesterday, football did its own job. Newcastle doing the job for Arsenal. Liverpool losing at home. Chelsea, a bit of bragging rights, saying they're 3 points behind Arsenal. And they started the permutation and the combination. Arsenal is coming to Stamford Bridge next week. So they will lose to Tottenham today. And when they come to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea will win Arsenal and Chelsea will be at the same point. All the subplots. I could understand how the players, the management, Arteta and his men will be hearing all this. And going into today's game, the first half was total dominance. Tottenham never laid a glove at Arsenal. No shots on target. Touches in the box were minimal. And Arsenal going 2 goals ahead despite the low blocks that Thomas Frank brought into this game. What do you think is the mental strength of this team? Blocking all that noise out. And to be fair, the pressure will be there to a certain degree, seeing that Manchester City capitulated yesterday, Liverpool capitulated yesterday, so they need to take advantage. But I didn't see any jilters. I saw a professional display today. Yeah, the goal Tottenham scored was a bit, between Zubimendi and Raya, in my own opinion. I think Zubimendi should have done better and played that pass quick. Raya again off, outside his 18-yard box. But let me just hear your take. The mental strength of this team. How do you see it? How do you rate it in comparison to previous years?
Honestly, for me, Mikel Arteta has brought something back to Arsenal that was missing even when Arsene Wenger was still in charge. And I think that has to be a strong mental fortitude that is being molded by a winning mentality. It's quite clear that the players are hungry. It's quite clear that the players are focused as well, because obviously we live in a digital village or a global village, and the players have access to the internet. I mean, some of them are personal brands on their own, or rather, some of them are individual brands. So, I mean, shying away from social media is almost impossible. So obviously, the players will hear and see the things that former players and now pundits are saying, what the fans are saying. But I think it takes a lot of mental strength and the willpower to be able to block out all the noise and to just be focused. And I think that's what the Arsenal team has been showing thus far. From the start of the season, a lot of people have been saying, look, if Arsenal don't win the EPL trophy, it's going to be a terrible season for them. But it seems to me that the team is taking each game as it comes. They are not really thinking about, what would happen in May. It's just, look, let's get to this next game. Let's see the best way in which we can perform. And I think that is the best way to approach a season that you want to see yourself winning something, because you can predict, you can project, and at the end of the day, you might just have a different outcome, especially if your projection is letting you possibly overlook a couple of things from your opponents. But I don't think that's the case. I think Arsenal have been very thorough. And I think another thing that helps them at this point in time in terms of the mental fortitude is the fact that they know that teams fear them. I think the fact that Manchester City have caved when they now play Arsenal is a huge point. Manchester City now don't come out to play. They let Arsenal have the ball, and then they're already just trying to hit them on the counter. Manchester City, who for a long time was one of Arsenal's greatest rivals and greatest, I would even call them a rival.
Isn't rival? It was
They were
easy.
not even a rival. They were one
Easy
of
peasy.
exactly. They were one of
3 points
Arsenal's greatest.
assured whenever the fixtures
Yeah,
come on the board, yeah, for
they
them.
will always score the goals and get the goods against Arsenal. So, I mean, from watching yourself being dominated by a team to seeing yourself being feared by a team, I think that would help in terms of confidence, 110%. And, one little aspect as well, the height of the team. I mean, once you're in that tunnel, once you're standing next to these warlords that put on the red and white, you're already thinking to yourself, oh, how's it going to be today? How am I going to win this game? So I think Arsenal have a lot of good things going for them at the moment. And I must say that the credit has to go to Mikel Arteta because he's the architect behind all of this. And so far, so good. The players have taken to him. And you can only hope and pray that they continue in this manner. I think all that's left for Arsenal to show for the rest of the season has to be consistency and discipline. Then we can then have those conversations about them winning major silverware.
A little worry I have was when Tottenham pulled one back due to the error between Zubimendi and Raya. I think Raya should have passed up, kicked the ball to the side quickly. But it was a good goal. You can't take anything away from it because Tottenham had nothing in that game. But within that space of the goal being scored and 10 minutes after, you could see Arsenal started showing a bit of duty, and Tottenham were on the ascendant. And unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize. Not until the Arsenal players got themselves back and were able to score the fourth goal. But let's talk about Eberechi Eze. Now, there is a bit of conundrum, like you said in your monologue. Arteta having worries about what players to choose for a particular game. Nkapie put a lovely performance today. Didn't show any form of nervousness, or he wasn't nervous. He was professional, coming in for what's it called, for Gabriel, and this is his first debut in the EPL, if I'm not mistaken. So apologies for that. First start in a not London derby. Saliba was outstanding. Timber, regular performance again. Calafiori took out Kudus. Kudus didn't hurt him. But Eze in particular, I think I saw a bit of dynamism, fluidity between him and Merino. Merino was supposed to be supposed striker for us today. But the fluidity, him dropping into the midfield and Eze stepping into the pace, at times, we saw Merino getting to the left and Trossard, drifting in. I think that fluidity caught Tottenham unawares. As supposed, if it was Gyökeres that was there today, I'm sure the likes of Romero and the Dutch Van der Ven would have all clustered him. And I know Gyökeres wouldn't have given us that fluidity up front, but it was a masterclass performance from Merino today. But let's talk about Eze, the man of the match with a hat-trick. Is this trouble in paradise for Martin Odegaard, the club captain?
No, I honestly don't think so. I do not think so. I think Martin Odegaard brings something different to the Arsenal team. I liken Martin Odegaard to being a conductor in an orchestra. There is a certain swagger that Arsenal play with when Martin Odegaard is in charge because he dictates the tempo of the game. However, I think in the last 2 seasons, there have been parts of Martin Odegaard's game that because he's probably lacking in that aspect, Arsenal have suffered for it, right? So now that they have a player like Eberechi Eze, I believe the inclusion of Eze into the team is to honestly complement Martin Odegaard and also give Arsenal a different threat and a different answer when they are up against low blocks. That's my opinion on this. I think there are two different players that offer two different elements to your game. If you got Eze playing in your number 10 position, you're not necessarily going to have control of the game per se, but you will be sure that once you're on the counter, something is bound to happen. And I believe the major reason why there was fluidity, with the front four today is because none of them obviously was an out-and-out striker.
Yeah.
And Merino himself obviously loves to have the ball at his feet. But most importantly, I think the major reason why Merino was floating around a lot was because the best finisher among the front four today was Eberechi Eze. We know Merino is a good finisher, but obviously Eze is a class above. And I do believe that if Gyökeres was playing, obviously Eze will be playing deeper, and Eze might not necessarily be in and around the ball. But now with this sort of performance, you would like to think that Mikel Arteta and his coaching staff would like to make certain tweaks until Martin Odegaard is back. Tweaks that enable Eberechi Eze to continue to thrive. And I believe that, since his inclusion into the Arsenal team, with each game that comes, I think he gets more comfortable in the team. I think the coaches make things more easy for him as well. He's looking more easy-esque. These are positions and chances that that Eberechi Eze is behind. I mean, just take a look at the first clear-cut chance on goal, the cheeky lob over Romero for Declan Rice to hit a shot on target. That's easy. Like for you, he wants to be lurking in and around the box 16. So yeah, but another thing is for me is the fact that or rather before I go on with Eze, let me just quickly address the fact that for me, for the goal conceded, I blame Martin Zubimendi. I don't blame David Raya at all. I'll tell you why. Because Arsenal's gameplay requires Raya being off his line, almost like a sweeper, almost like a CB, like one of the 3 CBs or 2 CBs, as the case may be. So I don't blame Raya because his teammates are obviously always aware that, look, he's going to be over his line. What do you then do? Don't put him in positions that are going to leave him open.
Possibly if it was 2 steps backward.
Yeah, hopefully. And then
he could have saved. He could have.
Yeah, true. He could have if it was 2 steps back. And then again, I don't mean to sound salty. That's not where I'm coming from. But if I'm being honest, whenever Raya or Gabriel passed the ball in the middle of the park to Thomas Partey, the ball was not leaving his feet. But Zubimendi, obviously, he's a great player. He's a great player. We know that. With time, he will understand that, look, that position is very delicate. It's very critical, which he does know. And I'm sure he's probably, hitting himself for that goal being conceded. And I'm sure he knows that he's going to catch himself in that position a lot of times. So quick thinking, quick decision, quick fit, absolutely important in that position. But once again, with Eberechi Eze, I think when Martin Odegaard comes back, there will be games where they will play together as maybe Odegaard as a 10.
We saw that against Newcastle.
Yeah, and then we could have the situation where they are both double 10s. That can happen as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's the right type of headache for Mikel Arteta. I think let's just get that straight. So, for me, I think now going forward, I will be more strict regarding my assessment of Mikel Arteta and his decisions, because I must agree with the critics that, look, he has possibly every type of Arsenal that you could want in your in your weapons chamber. That's just the truth. His Arsenal is loaded. The
squad depth is crazy. So crazy.
So it's up to him to show his prowess as a top manager, and for him to show that, look, with quality players, I can deliver on the biggest stage where it matters the most. So, yeah, that's my assertion regarding Eberechi Eze.
Well, the stats of the game speaks for itself. 17 shots to Arsenal as against 3 shots to Tottenham, 8 shots on target, 2 shots on target for Tottenham, 57 ball possession, 43 to Tottenham, 367 passes to Arsenal, 235, pass accuracy, 88% both, fouls, 11 to Arsenal, 15, yellow cards, 3 to Tottenham, 1 to Arsenal. And I feel it was a total dominant performance from Arsenal. And unfortunately, I predicted 5-0. I know when I was doing my prediction, the group where I was were like, come on, who are you? What are you on? What are you smoking? But I knew it wasn't going to be an issue for Arsenal, seeing that, looking at how Tottenham has played, I knew they weren't going to give us any trouble. But, the subplots toward before the game, I'm happy the way the players treated this professionally, 3 points in the bag. Now let's talk about our environment. When you're doing SWOT analysis, strength, weakness is internally, opportunities and threats is the external. So let's look at it. Opportunity taken, right? Liverpool drop points, Man City drop points. We're 11 points ahead of Liverpool, and now we're 7 points ahead of Man City. But Chelsea is there up in the mix, 6 points, despite the fact of their fans being spineless, not wanting to agree to the fact that they could be in a title run. But that it is what it is. So we're going to focus on Liverpool, Man City. Now, is this a good opportunity? Do you think these players, current crop of players, last 3 seasons, finishing second, 3 consecutive seasons, Do you think they would see this as an opportunity to say, we got this? What happened in 2022-2023 season is not happening again. We're 11 points ahead of the defending champions. We're still going to go to Liverpool is still coming to the Emirates. We're going to Etihad, right? Next week is Chelsea, and there's a Champions League that needs to be handled against Bayern Munich, also at home. If they beat Chelsea next week, they go 9 points clear of Chelsea. And regardless of whatever happens in the game between Man City and Liverpool in game week 13, the gap still remains. Would they see this as an opportunity to say, this is where we can extend the gap between those around us? And when the fixture becomes muddled up, which is during the festive season, if we decide to drop points here and there, we still have that leverage. Do you think these players see this as an opportunity to see this is an opportunity for us to win the league this season?
Well, let me start this way, and let me remind you about something that every player that has joined Arsenal says. Before joining Arsenal, they admire the team, they are envious of the team, and they know how good the team is. They know that the team is capable of winning. So when these players then join the team, their objective immediately is to want to win. So that being said, the current players that have been here, that have been at Arsenal, for the last 3 seasons, who have finished second consecutively, is obviously frustrating for them. They don't want that to repeat itself again. They don't want to remain the laughing stock, and they want to win, especially for those who were so close to it, especially 3 seasons ago. It's bittersweet, and obviously you just want to do one over your rivals, both Manchester City, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, So that's motivation for the players that have been with the team since. And the motivation for those who join this summer is the fact that they know that the team has the potential and they want to win. They want to come and win. Some of these players are coming from teams where they are winners. So they want to come to the team and also impact them. I believe the additions of players like Nkapie, Eze, and Rice in particular helped with the winning mentality of the team. I don't think Arsenal has an excuse to drop points, even when we get to the business end of the season, due to the quality in depth. That's just the truth.
I'm talking about the December period. There's a Carabao Cup fixture fixed in between. I think the game after Everton, like 3 days or 4 days difference. It's going to be crazy. That December fixture is going to be very, very crazy.
It's going to be crazy, but that's why you've got good players. Take, for example, in this game, in the matchday squad, there was no Gabriel Jesus, there was no Victor Gyökeres, there was no Martin Odegaard, there was no Gabriel Magalhaes. I think that's pretty impressive. If these players are going to remain, let's say, absent for maybe the next 2 games, and they're coming back in the thick of it in December, what a bunch to add to the squad. Yeah. Prior to this game, I mentioned 3 players. I didn't even mention Kai Havertz. Previously, I just mentioned Jesus, Gyökeres, Gabriel Magalhaes. I didn't mention Kai Havertz. Before the game today, everyone was scared. They probably thought Arsenal would probably be missing 7 to 8 first-team players. And then, 3 were available to start, 2 were on the bench. So for me, I don't think there's any excuse. I believe the players are motivated. I hear it from the way they speak for interviews, pre-match conferences, post-match conferences. I think there's a high level of focus. But most importantly, I think the players hold themselves to a high standard and they're not going to let anyone, pull them down. From what I've seen this season, I think the level of competition has affected the players in the right way. Because let's not lie, we've seen teams in the past whereby, due to the addition of other stars, it seems to be that some other players are then destabilized and it affects the balance of the team, it affects the chemistry of the team.
Yeah, Liverpool case in point.
Exactly. But with Arsenal, it seems to be the total opposite. I think from what I see from Arsenal, first of all, there seems to be an obvious family unit. So, for a player, when you come into the team, you don't want to be the black sheep. You don't want to be the ugly duckling. You want to be a part of the family. But you must first earn the right to be a part of the family. If the players see that you want to operate on their level, by all means, you will be welcomed with 2 arms. But if you're not up to it, you just have to leave. And I think the competition has helped the players well. And when I say the players in particular, I can speak about Gabriel Martinelli. I can speak about Leandro Trossard. Because obviously for both Trossard and Martinelli, the fact that at the beginning of the season, Arteta was opting to play Madueke ahead of both of them. I think that would have sent a clear message to their heads. And that's just to let you know that, look, at this point in time, yeah, you're here, or probably as a manager, I don't have 110% faith in you. I need to try something else. And I think both players have responded in a very good manner. And that's what you want from your team. I do believe Gyökeres will be pushed greatly by Kai Havertz as well, because Havertz is going to make it impossible for Arteta to bench him. That's just the truth. But yeah, that's my opinion regarding that. I think once again, there's no excuse for me going into the busy part of the season, and I do believe that the players are motivated in the right way to want to be successful at the end of the season.
Yep, I agree with you because during that December fixtures, could play. There's every tendency you could play 3 games in 9 days, and that's
Exactly.
crazy. You need that squad
Exactly.
depth. Fingers
Sorry to cut
crossed.
you short. Sorry to cut you short, but this year in particular, let's not forget, we don't have Boxing Day fixtures. So let's
Yeah,
just say I just have a bit of 2-3 days rest in between
yeah,
during that period.
yeah. True that. And so let's just hope, fingers crossed, the current injury crisis doesn't get worse, and we hope the players that are coming back come back fitter and stronger. Nobody has any issues. I think I haven't had an issue with his comeback. That was why his return date was extended. I think the German coach reported that during the international break. And even if Arsenal didn't authenticate that story, but like you said, when a global village, news spread fast. So we hope to get these players back because I feel the festive period into January is always our Achilles heel. Looking at the last 3 seasons in particular, that period most especially, we tend to drop points. And I know the fixtures around that period are games that, if we have the right resources and Arteta plays the right players, we should be able to pick 3 points regardless of. I think the only tough game around that period is Everton, Aston Villa, because we're playing Aston Villa twice, right? We'll also play Brighton at home on the 27th and play Aston Villa on the 30th, 3 days after. After we'll play Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup quarterfinal on the 23rd. So within 10 days, we're playing 4 games. Within 10 days, from December 20th to December 30th, 4 games. So it's
That's crazy.
crazy. It's going to be crazy. Really, really crazy. So we hope
4
this
games in the space of 10 days.
Yeah.
That's
Looking at the
ridiculous.
fixtures, except maybe looking at what I have in front of me here, except maybe some of the games get rescheduled officially. But 20th is Everton away, Crystal Palace Carabao Cup quarterfinal on the 23rd. Though there's still TBD there on it to be decided. On the 27th, Arsenal Brighton at Emirates. On the 30th, Arsenal Aston Villa at Emirates. So it's going to be crazy. So let's just hope the players that come back, tends to beef up the squad, and the squad depth, the players are there for Arteta to utilize. But while we round up, your prediction for the next 2 games: Bayern Munich in the Champions League and Chelsea in the Premier League. The reason why I buttress Chelsea is because I'm sure you're aware of the rivalry that has been happening, the social media rivalry. And like I was saying on the WhatsApp group earlier today, Chelsea fans have just been giving it to Arsenal fans. They claim their squad is better than Arsenal. I follow this. I don't know if you know Football Terrace by Terry Flores. I follow his platform, and there's this episode he runs every Friday. He calls it Street Facts. And there's this deluded Chelsea fan. His name is Don, Greasy Don. He says a whole lot of nonsense. And the take he had that Friday was Chelsea squad is better than Arsenal, right? The only place Arsenal has quality than the Chelsea squad is the defense department, because Colwill is out injured. And he added it to the fact that because of this, Arsenal must win the league, but Chelsea don't need to win the league. Chelsea just need to qualify for top 4. So there was a whole lot of back and forth. But I know the game coming next week Sunday is going to be crazy. And I hope we'll have the match reaction where the Chelsea guys will come onto the show and also have the Arsenal. Depending on the outcome of the game, I hope they don't run if Chelsea loses. But I know we Arsenal fans will always be here, whether we win, however the result goes. But what's your take? So how do you see that game panning out? The Stamford Bridge. The last time Arsenal lost to Stamford Bridge was when? 4 years ago or 5 years ago? What's
It's
your
been a minute.
Yep.
It's been a long minute, but I do expect a win for Arsenal, if I'm being honest. With all due
Wow.
respect to Chelsea, yeah.
Wow.
I do think that Chelsea has struggled without Cole Palmer. And when I say they've struggled, I mean in terms of chance creation. I think Chelsea have now looked to set pieces and they've looked to counter attacks to be able to score goals. And that will be a problem against an Arsenal side that is solid defensively. And an Arsenal team that would not necessarily let you catch them when it comes to transitions. So I think the game is going to be difficult for Chelsea. Cole Palmer was slated to return for the game against Arsenal, but sadly, with a freak accident at home, he fractured his toe, so he's not going to be available for that game. And obviously, I think that just further compounds their issues. And I think I should put this out there. I think it's quite clear that Enzo Maresca is probably too protective of Esteval. I understand that, yeah, he's young, he's 18. You don't want to throw him to the dogs. But, well, in the words of the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And
Yeah.
I do believe that that quote is relevant to Esteval because we can see that with Brazil, Carlo Ancelotti has taken the training wheels off, put him in the team immediately, and he has responded with 4 goals in 4 appearances. And I think for Chelsea, his output can be better if he's playing more games, not just in the second half. And obviously, you make more of an impact if the coach doesn't keep taking him off every time that they get a red card as well. So for me, I think these are the issues with Chelsea. They don't necessarily have an outstanding attacker. Joao Pedro has lost form. Liam Delap is yet to get form. Magu, he has flashes of brilliance, but you still know that he's quite raw. So obviously, he's not good enough to start. So for me, Chelsea still have a lot of things to work on. When the likes of Jamie Bino-Gittins and Pedro Neto are introduced to the Julian Timber and Ricardo Calafiori penitentiary, it's going to be difficult for Chelsea. That's just the truth. So I don't see how they're going to win the game or how they're going to put up a good fight. Obviously, the addition of the 12th man at Stamford Bridge might give them a bit of might give them an oomph. Let me
Yeah.
just put it that way. But I don't think they've got enough quality to beat Arsenal.
Well, fingers crossed. My eyes really is on that game. Hopefully, I want Arsenal to win, but I know it's going to be a tough game because we're playing at Stamford Bridge. We're playing at the Gaffer, and I know we've been successful in the past few seasons. We've not lost. We've not taken an L there. And I think last two seasons consecutively, we shared the spoils 2-2, 2-2. And this season, I want to see the approach Arteta would use. Do you want to relinquish position to them and hit them in transition? Or do you want to dominate in every areas, just like the way we played Newcastle? I know it's going to be a physical battle. Caicedo will be dreaming for that day because the comparison between Caicedo and Rice has flooded the internet, and everybody has their own opinion. But like I said, there are two different players. In my own opinion, Rice, I feel, is an all-round midfielder, right? He started from being a defensive midfielder while he was at West Ham, joined the Arsenal, played in the 6, played as the 8. He's an all-round midfielder. And his impact today, in today's game, was crazy. The second goal, the quick pass to Eze. If not for that quick pass, I don't think we'd have scored that second goal. But the intelligence of Rice has gone up from one notch to another notch ever since he joined Arsenal. But I know they will be ready, pumped for that game. But I want Arsenal to win. Reason being that just to shut all the Chelsea fans up on social media, just to shut them up. But it's nice doing this. It's nice doing this. It's nice doing this, okay? Hope to see you next week in the match reaction for the game between Chelsea and Arsenal. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.